Now, Mrs. Paine, I want to tell you something. I've talked to you about mere coincidences. But you can see...
a little guilt by association.
Yes, you can see how when I place questions to you like this, that people can come to conclusions that you feel are wrong about.
That's true, they could.
You can understand, I think now, how Lee would feel if he were here to defend himself and heard you make the statements that you made about him that he couldn't answer in any way after you had known him only really a very few days. Do you understand that now?
To talk to what you're talking about and what he might have felt or what kind of person he was, I do think for the historical record it's important that people understand that Lee was a very ordinary person, that people can kill a president without that being something that shows on them in advance.
Let me ask you a question. Is it really your purpose here to try to defame this man in some way?
I'd like a full picture.
Yes.
I think it's really important for history that a full picture of the man be seen.
Thank you. Now, you never saw Lee in the garage, did you?
Pardon?
You never saw Lee in the garage, did you?
Not that evening, no.
And when you say he left the light on, that's simply a surmise on your part, isn't it? Isn't it, please?
Yes, I knew it wasn't myself, and I didn't think it was Marina. It didn't seem likely.
Now, relative to the garage, anybody else with minimal burglar skills could have got in your garage, isn't that true?
Whether we would have heard them.
And you were at another part of the house,
in the bedroom. Mm-hmm.
And you don't know. First of all, let's find out what you do know and what you've surmised and what you don't know and what you've guessed at.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you do not know that there was ever a gun in that house, do you?
I never saw one, that's true.
You don't know that Lee Oswald or anybody else took a gun from that house, do you?
Not from my own observation, no.
You don't know that Lee turned on that light, do you?
It's just my surmise, you're right.
Thank you. Now, a wedding ring was left behind.
Yes.
Sometimes that's done when couples are about to split the blanket, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes people, when they're finished, if they're having a fight with each other, they say, "This is it, baby." That happens sometimes, doesn't it?
It could, yes. Now,
that doesn't mean I'm going to kill the president, does it?
No.
Mrs. Paine, you're aware of the fact that you talked to Lee after he was in jail, didn't you?
On the phone twice. Well,
and he was asking for help, wasn't he?
He asked me to call a particular lawyer, and he gave me the phone number.
Yes, he needed somebody to give him assistance.
Right. I said
Did you think he should have it?
Yes, I thought he should have defense, a lawyer.
And were you amazed at the fact that about how completely certain Lee was as to his innocence?
Well, it wasn't that he said he was innocent. It was that it seemed remarkable to me that he could just ask blandly something of me at that point.
It seemed remarkable that he should ask you to call a lawyer for him? Didn't you tell the Warren Commission that you were impressed how calm Lee was and how completely certain, Lee was
Why don't you read that?
Of his innocence?
Read that, exactly.
Yes, I will. To express considerable irritation at his seeming to be so apart from the situation, so presuming of his own innocence, if you will.
Yes.
But I did say I would make the call for him. Did you make the call?
Yes, I tried to.
And did he seem so presuming of his own innocence?
He seemed so apart from the whole event, like it was nothing, like nothing had happened. And that was the presumption that I felt in his voice, like, you know, nothing's happened.
But he seemed presuming of his own innocence, did he not?
He seemed unattached.
Do you see any reason why you just can't turn to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury and say to them in clean, clear, honest English, he seemed presuming of his own innocence? That's true, isn't it?
That does not give the meaning that this whole passage you've quoted gives. Because what I was saying was that he was unattached to the events that had just happened. That's the way he seemed to me.
He seemed calm.
Yes.
He seemed confident.
Well, I wouldn't say that, no. In fact, he was irritated in the evening when he called and wanted to talk to Marina, and she wasn't there.
She wasn't there. Think a man in jail charged with the assassination of the president, who was innocent, who couldn't get out of jail, and who had been beaten by the police, and wanted to see his wife, might show a little irritation. Thank you, Mrs. Paine.
Thank you very much, Ms. Paine. You may step down.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
Your Honor, the government moves to have all of its exhibits received into evidence, and the government rests at this time, Your Honor.
If you would, please, if you come forward.
Thank you.